Okay, this is a video for April 19th for 4th grade. The first question is a division problem, just practicing common division. This question is where they are given a combination of angles. This one's a better example right here. So they're told that the combination of angles that one is that they are both 90 degrees. So when you're looking at it, you see that this one's 90 degrees and this set is 90 degrees. And you're looking for, let's say, B. You're also given that this angle is 40. Instead of doing a total of 180 and then having to add 90 plus 40 and then subtracting from the 180, what I told them is that it was easier to just go with this half of the 180 and just go with 90 minus 40, and that's going to give them this missing angle. And this is just an example. The one that they had was up here, and that's the reason why I said that they did not need this side. They could just use the 90 minus the 42, and it left them with the 48, which was this missing angle up here, which was X. This next question is number 7. The question was, by how many minutes did they beat Trish? And what we set it up as is a conversion, and so they probably don't even have all of this. What they probably have is 120 seconds equals how many minutes, and then 60 seconds equals 1 minute. And then we do it as same side you divide, when across you multiply. So what I told them is that they could go ahead and reduce this by dividing by 10, which gets rid of those zeros. And then it's a 12 divided by 6, which gives us a 2 right here. Which, of course, you know that it could be a different combination of seconds and minutes, or seconds that they're asking to find the value of. The next question was multiples, and they have the definition that multiples are numbers you hear when you skip count. I always did this T-chart here, where multiples and then the number we were looking for the multiples of, and then however many multiples we were looking for. So 3 times 1 gives us the first multiple. 3 times 2 gives us the second, 3 times 3 gives us the third, and so on. That's the last one for that page. The next one on the next page is where they're comparing the fractions. What we talked about was, of course, you could do that butterfly effect where you could multiply this 3 times 3 and it'll give you 9, or 5 times 3 and it'll give you 15. But what I had them notice was that this 3/3, that's equal to 1. And a fraction, just a regular proper fraction, is less than 1. So they could notice that 1, and then this is less than 1, would make this fraction greater than. This one that we have here is how much money did Tessa spend at the mall? The important word here was spend. Of course, you can have different values here. Maybe she had $24.30 and she spent or had $5.60 left. Of course, it's just going to be a subtraction problem. The word spend means subtract, and they would do the subtraction problem and then fill in that answer statement with the correct answer. Subtracting using those zeros and having to borrow across is always something that they can practice. We have that matrix problem there. And always rounding, definitely practicing our rounding. This one's rounding to the nearest 1,000. Looks like I see a bonus thing here. Something that we've been studying are mean, median, mode, and range. So if they will include this on their test, I will give them some extra points. Mean meaning average, median meaning middle, mode meaning most, and range is where you subtract the high from the low. Little extra point there. This question is where they are given a multiplication equation. They're asked to use the model to show the answer. What I told them, instead of doing like 3 times 2/4, this one is what the question was. Instead of doing 2/4, 2/4, and 2/4, I like for it to show the answer. So I did one group of 2/4, another group of 2/4, and another group of 2/4. And then it actually shows that the answer is 1 and 2/4. And then I actually did show it mathematically. Decomposing, which means to break down. We talked about how that means in like animals or in science, how they talk about it breaking down. And we talk about in math how you would break down a fraction and how the denominators must be the same as what you're breaking down. 4/3 or 4/8 plus 3/8 equals 7/8. And of course, it's probably going to be a different fraction that they're going to have to decompose. This is one that gives them lots of trouble. We've done several different ones. This is a line plot. The question here was, which these numbers here are the heights of the blocks. The X's are the students who received those blocks. And that's always hard for them to understand the difference between what the X's are and what the numbers are. The question here was the tallest blocks are, what is the difference between the two tallest blocks? So that was 4.5, 5, actually it wasn't the difference. What is the total of the two tallest? Sorry. So they took 4.5 plus 5. And so that gave them 9.5. Another example could be what would be the total of the second largest and the second smallest. So as you can see, I've kind of underlined that there, that 4.5 and the 2. That would be the second largest and the 2 would be the second smallest there. So they could add those, or even if it was asking for a difference, they would subtract them. And that's the last one on that page. Going to the last page here, we have 3 more. And this is talking about different lines. They were asked to find the perpendicular lines. Of course, perpendicular lines that intersect and form right angles. And as you see, line AB and line OP intersect and form a right angle. Of course, if they were asked to find parallel, they would be looking for something more along the lines of these two that are highlighted. Area would be the length and width multiplied. Of course, we always forget to put this squared. That's something that they tend to forget, using the units and squared. And the last one, something that they tend to forget is to always describe the pattern. So that's where all the numbers are even, and then to include the rule. And this rule happened to be the previous number, -2 plus 4. So I hope you guys have a great evening, and I'll talk to you later.